I am not going to make nearly as much money as the Big 12 is. We've been talking about this for a while, and it was interesting yesterday that a lot of folks were talking about the commercialization of college football. And this is something, you guys, that I think we've talked about on this show ad nauseum. If you're new to the show, and I know we have a lot of new viewers, you may not know that in the past we have openly discussed that branding on the field, branding on uniforms, branding on stadiums, branding on practice facilities, branding, patches, logos, they're coming. We've talked about this for months. And yesterday, I thought it was interesting that Ross Dellinger, amongst others, I want to say Stuart Mandel at The Athletic also had it, that the NCAA and its membership will take up the concept of putting corporate logos on fields and uniforms in as soon as 2025. So a year from now. We've warned you about this. And as we dug into this yesterday, our sources are telling us that the Big 12 is one of the main entities spearheading the idea of driving new revenue by putting logos and doing corporate sponsorships and branding deals on the fields and uniforms in the Big 12. And it makes a lot of sense. The Big 12, as we found out last week, was dead last in revenue generation amongst the Power Four conferences that remain, and it was not close. And you're talking about being 50% behind in revenue to the SEC and the Big Ten. You've got to find a way to close that gap. And I think we've already seen that with Mexico City, Rucker Park, some of the initiatives that the Big 12 has partaken in to this point. But the Big 12 would very much like to have Ford logos on their field. They would very much like to have McDonald's or, let's be honest, Five Guys logos on their uniforms, because we all know that when you're the truck stop conference, you're probably putting a Buc-ee's logo on the shoulder pad, but that's not really the question here. Is it what we should be doing in college sports? Jake, I don't think there's any doubt. It's not what we should be doing. It's what has to happen to save conferences like the Big 12.
I completely agree. And the only question I have is, why have we not been doing this before? Why has this not been happening? I mean, I hate to break this to people, but these athletic conferences are sales companies that happen to play football or basketball or whatever sport the day has for us, right? I mean, that's what it is. And you know, again, I feel like this past like 18 months in college athletics has been sort of a renaissance for how people look at college athletics. Like, this isn't, oh, well, little Jimmy's getting his doctorate and he just conveniently plays football for Georgia. You know, it's not how it used to be. Anymore, it is, hey, you know, athletic departments at these schools should be viewed as sales teams that happen to play the sport. And this is right up that alley. Again, any way possible that football teams or basketball teams or whatever it is can satiate private money and bring that revenue in, they should be doing that. So whether you want to put a logo on a field, you want to put it on a jersey, you want to put it on a helmet, you know, you want to put it on towels, you know, you want to put it on, you know, signage across the stadium, whatever it is, man, like, we should have been doing this. And obviously there's some of it that goes around, but it's not to the level that professional sports has it, where, you know, your entire outfield wall is just full of, sponsorship logos, or the back wall of the end zone is just full of sponsorship logos, or whatever it might be. So yeah, like, I do think that this type of situation needs to happen and should have been happening for a long time now. But I think that we like to get sort of tense about, oh, well, it's a college football team. Like,
right.
How are we going to go about selling these companies and bringing this money in? We get weird about that, and I don't really understand why.
I think you look at the deal that the Big 12 has done with WWE. Let's not forget the championship belts. Like, I think that is the future. And I continue to tell you, and I know that Big Ten fan loves to get in the comments and talk about how much money the Big Ten is making. I don't argue that. I don't argue that the SEC is an ATM machine. But friends, my point more is the Big 12 has been on the cutting edge of deals like the WWE, deals like Rucker Park, Mexico, Monterey, Mexico City, Dr. Pepper, Kansas City. Like they've been doing, Big 12 Pro Day in Dallas. Like these things that the Big 12 has been pushing. That's why Brett Yormark has been such a revelation, not for the Big 12, but for college athletics. And I think you're going to continue to see this. I think that Brett Yormark has been nothing short of a trendsetter. And I know that we're always accused of being the SEC show. This week, all I've been hearing about in the comment section on YouTube is, you guys are SEC homers.
I didn't know you liked SEC juice, dude.
And you know what the funny thing is? It's because I said Greg Sankey's the most powerful man in college sports.
Well, that's not correct. It's mullet.
I believe listen, he's not as powerful as those lice that are living in mullet.
I'm a man.
In shit. I'm telling you. I said one time.
Not 7 times.
One time that Greg Sankey will be the commissioner of college football. I think I said that.
That's what fucking ticks me the fuck off.
And this guy, Emmanuel, lost his ever-loving mind in the comment section to the point where I only saw it because I happened to be reading, and I shouldn't even say this out loud.
Here's your first mistake.
I was reading the comment section the other night, and I happened to see that this guy talked about Greg Sankey's length reaching my esophagus.
Dude.
And
what?
While you were able to comment up until that point, it's ridiculous to me. But I know we're accused now of being the Greg Sankey Homer show.
Right, yeah.
But
right.
I think that Brett Yormark has been nothing short of a revelation. And I think what he is doing to push the commercial division in both basketball and football in the Big 12 is sensational. And I think you are going to see, like one of the guys I was talking to yesterday about this was telling me that Ford and Chevy will ultimately end up competing to be the official automobile of the college football playoff. But I think you're going to see that auto brands will be on the field, will be prominently featured. Another guy I was talking to in TV yesterday was telling me that you better get ready for an influx of beautiful new massive LED boards in stadiums. And it's true.
Didn't it just come out yesterday that what was it? Boise State was renovating one end of their end zone. Like we see it all the time, right?
But you know what, Boise State? I thought that was interesting because what did Boise State do? They shrunk their capacity slightly. And we not talked about this on that show.
Yes.
It's better to have too much demand than too many empty seats.
Yes.
And again, I don't understand why Boise State and their football program decided to point a shotgun at their junk and pull a trigger when they said that freshmen can't earn NIL money.
Right.
It's probably too graphic. But my point is, Boise State's doing a lot of things the right way.
Yeah.
Albertsons Stadium. Do you know what Albertsons is? It's a grocery store, right? It's here already. And I think you're going to see it to a much larger extent. Does it feel dirty to you?
It doesn't feel dirty to me. I think that, again, we are in a time where more money has to flow through the sport. Like it used to be, and this is what I always say to you guys, like it used to be enough where TV revenue would cover all the expenses that an athletic department would have, or the athletic program would have. Like it used to be that, like $40 million a year is more than enough, but that's not the case anymore because times are changing.
And now I'm going to say what I said before, and I'll say it again. I don't believe that revenue is a problem in college athletics. I think we all make, I say we, college football makes plenty of money, but it's these stadium projects. It is exorbitant salaries for coaching staffs. It is all of this other superfluous stuff that you spend your money on that degrades your ability to leverage the revenue you're making. And I don't think it's an issue of, well, college athletics doesn't make enough money. I don't think that's it at all. I think the way that college athletics spends their money is out of control. I think we're talking, folks, we're talking billions of dollars. If you go across the board and you count every penny that these universities are making on athletics, revenue generation's not the problem. It's the money you're sending out. I look at Washington State. Hell, Bobby Robbins and his abacus that fell off his desk, and $240 million later, it was never recovered. I look at the sit-in that was threatened by Washington State faculty and staff over the spending in the athletic department.
Yes.
We don't have a problem making money. We have a problem spending money. And I will just continue to espouse that fiscal responsibility. And maybe the word is like, the unethical spending. Like we have an issue where, well, we've got to have the nicest cutlery at the training table.
Right.
I've got to have triple platinum forks. No, you don't. Paper plates and plastic silverware is fine.
Yeah.
And if you had that mentality, these NIL settlements would never have come to fruition because you make enough money that you should have been paying them. And I'll continue to go back to that. You've made billions for generations. Now you have a problem because you're going to have to retroactively pay that, but it's not a revenue generation problem. It's you're a cheap son of a biscuit problem.
Agreed.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old adage of like, it's not how much it's not your gross, it's your, your net, right? Like hey, like, all right, we made $1, but we're only keeping 20 cents. Like, that's the problem. And I think that, that is the sole issue in college athletics. It's pervasive through the whole system. And that's why you notice no one's talking about keeping more money. We're talking about making more money.
Yes.
And opening up the bandwidth, if you will, opening up the pipeline, if you will, to more money coming into the sport. So when you ask me, is it dirty? No, I don't think it's dirty. I think this is my opinion in the big picture on like where the sport's at is this was a natural step. This was a natural.
100%.
It's the natural evolution
100%.
of athletics, especially in football and especially in basketball, because these kids are not stupid. So they understand, hey, like you need us to make the money, and we want to make money. So let's find a way. And if I took out the fact that it was college athletics, you would say, yeah, that's just like a business transaction. That's just like, hey, this contractor knows you need him to do your pool or something. And, he wants to make money. So you're going to pay him and he's going to do it. Like, I mean, that's just our country. That's like our culture. That's a normal thing. So we get all weird because it's college athletics and we want to do this whole thing where it's like, oh, well, they're student athletes. They're students and then they're athletes. They're not athletic students. And it's like, dude, come on. They're here to play football.
But the student athlete thing is so that the old whiteheads could keep their cash.
100%. Yeah. Oh, well, we're paying you with a scholarship. Okay, cool. But that scholarship is giving us what, $2,000 a month? And
brain damage and
come on,
joint injuries and back injuries and neck injuries. Like, I just think that we're in a position now where you're going to see logos on the field.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be a little slower to matriculate to logos on jerseys and helmets. But I think you are going to see, because we're doing it already. Why is it a problem for Fox, ESPN to project logos onto the field on broadcast? We do it in the NBA. Why can't we do it in NCAA basketball?
I mean, they're doing it in basically every sport. They do it in the NHL. They do it in Major League Baseball. You know,
Like
they
the
do it
LED,
in the NFL.
look at the dasher boards in the NHL. Full LED dasher boards now, so that you can constantly have ads changing. And I don't know why you wouldn't do
And
this.
by the way, it looks cool.
It does.
Like,
and if you look at the stuff that we're doing with, ribbon boards now and these huge, like you look at Rice-Eccles Stadium up at Utah, up on the hill, and you look at that beautiful end zone.
yes.
And you look at the boards, and I mean, it's you look at the Delta Center and the AT&T stadium in Dallas, and you look at that like that's just the beginning.
Yeah. Yes.
Jerry Jones, that was cutting edge when Jarrah built Jarrah World. Now that's the norm. That like you look at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas or any major venue that you go into. I agree with my friend that said you're gonna see an explosion of beautiful, bigger, badder, more crystal clear LED boards in all of these venues.
Yes.
And I have no problem with
And
it.
how could you blame them?
I think you are going to see Ford trucks parked on fields. I think you are going to see that you're going to have branding opportunities. And it's what pissed me off as a Cub fan. And it still does, because they don't put the money back into the team because, well, we don't win games.
Yeah, you're
anymore.
Garbo. We get it.
But you look at the I guess it was almost 10 years ago now, in the outfield where they put up higher walls so that they could have more signage. And they added massive, jumbotrons in right field and a big ass flipping Toyota sign over the left field wall. But that's what you have to do now.
Yeah.
And I think that stuff is coming. And I don't think there's any doubt about it.
And I don't think it's dirty. I really feel like this like purity, like perspective on college sports needs to change. Like, oh, well, we can't stain college athletics with, corporate dollars. And we can't, like, dude, I'm so tired of that conversation. Like, I get it, man. There was a time, and I experienced it as a kid on some level. There was a time, probably 90s, 2000s, even early 2010s, where college athletics had some purity to it, if you will, where it was just the kid going to school, but he was a hero on the football field. And like, we as people loved that hero story, that underdog story. But those times have changed now, man. And I hate to say that, but it is the reality of it. And if you want college football to still be a thing, these people need to make more money. There just has to be more.
My guess is in the Big 12, and this is just this is, I think, where it starts. I think you will see in every stadium in football. I think you will see in every stadium and on every broadcast, Big 12 football presented by Ford trucks.
Yeah.
And there will be a Ford truck parked in every stadium. There will be a Ford logo on every field. There will be, like, you look again up at Utah with this truck deal that they got. I think you're going to see that the official truck of the Big 12 is the Ford Working Series or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to see first. And I think you look at that, they've always, like whether it's the Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship game or whatever it is, they've always had that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not exclusive in that. But I think you're going to see that Big 12 football will be presented by X brand in every stadium, on every broadcast. You have no choice.
Right.
I think that's where this will start. All right, let's get your comments in here. Presented by our good friends at Prize Picks, prizepicks.com. I was asked yesterday which one is more difficult, golf or the WNBA. on Prize Picks.
Golf, there's no question.
I think golf is far more difficult.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
I think
The
it
WNBA
is.
has some reliability in it, no doubt.
Caitlin Clark makes me money. There's no question. Caitlin Clark makes me money. And if I look at wow, I open up the app and MMA is number 1. The first thing I see today is MMA in my Prize Picks app. But I look at the RBC Canadian Open, and I am a guy that I 100% play birdies or better. And today I am going to ride that Eric Van Rooyen D and take more than 3.5 birdies or better. I'll take more. I'm a huge Eric Van Rooyen fan. I love watching the guy swing the club. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't get many. The funny thing is I don't get many options there.
No.
It's
a little limited.
Sahith Saga. Hello. Sahith. Why can't I say his name? Thigala. 68. More or less than 68 strokes today. Ooh. I think that's tough.
Yeah, that's a tough one, dude. That's tough.
I think I think you got to take more than that. But we'll see exactly how all that works out. I also some of the other interesting names. Corey Connors at 68, you got to take more. With all due respect.
And then you're talking about birdies or better.
No, strokes.
Oh, strokes.
You got to get stroked.
Yes, you got to get stroked.
Right?
Yeah.
I think you got to take more than 68 on him, at least in my opinion. But it's interesting how limited we are in the field.
Yeah, I'm guessing that because it's early, maybe this will open up. Like usually this is not going to be all the selections. So
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, that's interesting. Yeah.
But I will also point out, in the NBA, Mavs and Wolves tonight, Game 5. Rebounds and assists, 14.5 for Anthony Edwards. On 28.5 points. You got to go less than 28.5.
But what about Rudy Gobert at 12.5? I mean, come on.
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I mean, come on, dude.
Wolves or Mavs tonight?
Wolves.
How do you not?
Yeah, I'm going Wolves.
I was just about to say, how do you not take the Wolves tonight?
Yeah, I think you got to take the Wolves.
It's going. It is absolutely going back to Dallas.
Yeah,
there is no doubt about that.